The Choctaw are one of the oldest and most resilient Native American tribes, with a history deeply rooted in warfare and survival. Over centuries, they fought to protect their land, culture, and way of life from threats, both external and internal. They are known for their warrior spirit, and their tales of battles against neighboring tribes and European settlers have been passed down through generations. The Choctaw history is rich with stories of resistance, courage, and survival. From their initial battles with neighboring tribes to their engagement in wars against European colonizers, the Choctaw people fought tirelessly to defend their sovereignty. Between 1831 and 1833, over 15,000 Choctaw were forcibly removed from their southeastern homelands, driven westward to what would later become Oklahoma. Along the way, nearly 2,500 of them perished from disease, exposure, and starvation. By 1855, the Choctaw had begun to rebuild their lives in what was then called Indian Territory, present-day Oklahoma. They embraced agriculture, trading with neighboring European settlements, and even intermarrying with settlers. One key figure during this time was Joshua Leflore, the son of a Choctaw chief and a French settler. His family's influence in the region made him a prominent figure, beloved by both the Choctaw and European communities. Leflore was an advocate for the Choctaw people, using his political clout to secure the best land for his tribe after their forced relocation. He became a bridge between two worlds, keeping the Choctaw heritage alive while navigating the complexities of American politics. But peace would not last. What seemed like an ordinary night in Leflore County would soon turn into something far darker, something the Choctaw would never forget. The first signs of trouble began when several Choctaw farms were mysteriously raided. Livestock, cattle, pigs, and poultry were stolen without a trace. Initially, the Choctaw thought it was a case of human bandits. They quickly organized patrols to track down the culprits, but despite their best efforts, no traces of the thieves were found. No footprints, no campfires, just the missing livestock. As the raids continued, the Choctaw realized that something far stranger was happening. The thieves were not leaving a trace, and the thefts were becoming bolder. But it wasn't just the animals that were being taken. Women and children began to vanish in the night. Fear gripped the community. The Choctaw were used to conflict, but this was something different, something they couldn't understand. As the raids continued, the Choctaw realized that something far stranger was happening. The thieves were not leaving a trace, and the thefts were becoming bolder. But it wasn't just the animals that were being taken. Women and children began to vanish in the night. Fear gripped the community. The Choctaw were used to conflict, but this was something different, something they couldn't understand. In response, Joshua Leflore and a group of Choctaw warriors, including the legendary Hamas Tubby and his 6 sons, who were renowned for their combat skills, set off to find and eliminate the threat. They formed a war party of 40 strong men, determined to rescue their people and bring justice to those who dared to threaten their safety. After days of tracking and searching, Leflore and his men arrived at a dense forest on the outskirts of their land. A putrid stench filled the air, one that even the seasoned warriors recognized, the smell of death. But it wasn't just the odor that unsettled them, it was the eerie silence that had fallen over the forest. The usual sounds of wildlife, birds, rustling leaves, were gone. It was as if the forest itself was holding its breath. The warriors pressed on, though their instincts screamed at them to turn back. As they entered a small clearing, they stumbled upon a gruesome sight. The mutilated bodies of several missing Choctaw men, women, and children, left in a grotesque heap. The bodies had been torn apart, their flesh ripped away in chunks, and the site was covered in flies and other scavengers. But the horror didn't end there. As they stood frozen, staring at the carnage, the warriors heard something. Footsteps, heavy and slow. From the shadows emerged 3 massive figures, covered in thick, matted hair, their eyes black as night. These were no ordinary men. They were creatures, massive, ape-like beings with monstrous strength and terrifying fangs. The Choctaw warriors, accustomed to battle, quickly drew their weapons and prepared to face the unimaginable. Joshua Leflore, ever the leader, charged forward, drawing his saber and aiming for the closest creature. But as he closed the distance, the beast lunged at him, crushing his horse with a single blow. Leflore fell to the ground but quickly regained his footing, drawing his revolver. He fired at the beast repeatedly, but the shots seemed to have little effect. In an act of sheer defiance, he fought on, but it was an unequal match. The creatures were too powerful. Leflore was struck down, his head severed by one of the beasts, marking the tragic end of the Choctaw leader's life. The remaining warriors, witnessing the brutal death of their commander, fought back with everything they had. Using their buffalo rifles, they unleashed a deadly barrage of gunfire. Only one of the creatures, badly wounded, managed to escape. The others fell, their bodies riddled with bullets. The Choctaw were victorious, but the cost was high. Joshua Leflore was dead, and his loss was felt deeply across the Choctaw community. The warriors returned home, but their minds were haunted by the creatures they had encountered. Despite the victory, there was no sense of triumph. The images of the monstrous creatures, their piercing eyes and savage strength, lingered in the minds of the warriors. The story of their battle with Sasquatch became a part of Choctaw legend, though many remain skeptical of the truth of it. Historical records show no mention of such creatures, and Joshua Leflore's death, while tragic, did not occur in any battle with cryptid beasts. However, the legend has persisted, with many Choctaw still telling the story of that fateful day. Today, the Choctaw people continue to pass down their history through stories and legends. Whether or not the tale of Sasquatch is true remains uncertain, but it stands as a testament to the Choctaws' enduring warrior spirit and their ability to face even the most unimaginable threats. The Choctaw, though they faced overwhelming adversity, have always stood strong in the face of danger. From their struggles against European colonizers to their fight for survival against mythical beasts, their legacy lives on. Whether the battle with Sasquatch was real or a piece of folklore, it represents the indomitable spirit of a people who have never backed down from a fight. The story of the Choctaws' resilience, their strength in the face of uncertainty, and their determination to protect their families and culture will continue to be told for generations to come.